All right. Hi, Atul. Thank you for running for office and for seeking the Riveters Collective endorsement. We're conducting this interview on the traditional territory of the Nooksack tribe and Lummi Nation. The interview is being recorded for us to use in our endorsement decisions and also may be shared publicly. Your screen name, I assume, is how you want it to be for a public. If we do make it public. And then, so we have 5 questions for you tonight, approximately 3 to 4 minutes each. And hopefully that leaves us some room at the end if you have any questions for us. To begin, how would you prefer to be addressed?
Hey.
Okay, great. And I'm just going to quickly have everybody introduce themselves that's here tonight.
If I could just ask one favor of everyone.
Yeah.
I have a dog and it was hot and my door is open. And I just want to make sure that if at any time you don't hear me well, or due to broadband issues in the county, we can always blame the PUD for this. I'm not in my official capacity. So due to broadband issues in the county or whatever it is, please, if you don't hear me, please let me know. I will endeavor to communicate more clearly.
Will do. Thank you. Let's go ahead and start with you, Lychee.
Thanks. Hello, my name is Lychee Leong. Lychee is my first name, and I will pass the, oh, and I should apologize for not being on camera, but I don't actually have a camera on this device. So I'll hand things over to Suzanne.
Hi, good evening, Atul. It's nice to see you. Thanks for running for office. Glad you're here and looking forward to hearing your answers. I'll pass to Candace.
Hi, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for being here as well and for running for office. And I'm very excited to hear what you have to say.
Hi, I'll go next. Good to see you, Atul. I'm back.
You too.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And we're going to go ahead with Suzanne asking the questions tonight. Thank you.
Okay, question number 1. If elected, how will you involve residents in your decision-making process?
So the main importance of campaigning for me is to build relationships that sustain past the election. And those relationships can expand after election through a regular process of inquiry and reaching out. And then, of course, the direct contacts that happen. Having been on the Planning Commission now for 7 years, I've not only fielded questions from my own district, I fielded, and I won't name individual county council members, but questions for many of my colleagues. I would call them colleagues on the county council. So I think the most important thing is to never let an inquiry go. And I don't think I have ever let one call or email go. And that's the first step, because people need to believe that when they reach out to you, you're going to respond. So in addition to that, I think at the Planning Commission, I have, with Natalie McClendon, who no longer lives here, pushed for improvement of the public engagement process. And I think we have to keep doing things to improve the public engagement process so people know what's going on that's affecting them.
Thank you. Question number 2, as a council member, what will you do to improve housing affordability and access in Whatcom County?
So there's 2 parts to this. One aspect I very much appreciate and understand and agree with the efforts of our current leadership that is addressing housing affordability through supply-based solutions. And I very much embrace those. But a mentor of mine on the subject of housing for years and years has been Paul Schisler. And I don't think there's anybody in their community who spent more time thinking about the problem about housing and housing affordability. And one of the ideas that he has that I'm embracing is the idea to create a separate lane out of the market where the public owns property that gets developed to be affordable through developers that are also in that lane to provide a pathway for housing affordability that is sustainable and will be maintained for a long time.
Thank you. Question number 3. Please describe a recent project you collaborated on, how you facilitated that collaboration, and what you learned from your partners that you'll improve on in the future.
I'll just pick countywide broadband. As a PUD commissioner, when I got elected, I was told the PUD wasn't going to do anything with broadband. And of course, I got elected. I campaigned on it, so I was kind of stuck. So shortly after being elected, we agreed to take the first step, and we did a joint study with the port. And the port was game. They were game to do something about broadband. And the port got started. They got internal money, they got some money from the county, and they started building planning infrastructure. It took a couple of years for me to convince my colleagues on the importance of the PD to also participate, because the port, frankly, is not an infrastructure organization. The port was ill-equipped to maintain broadband infrastructure for the long haul. And one of the big differences that has happened since the PD has gotten involved is that we are building to own, whereas the port's strategy is to build to transfer to a private sector internet service provider. So that's a great example where we had to work with. I actually got in trouble with port commissioners, both Bobby Briscoe and Bill were quite upset at me for some period of time. And I think that's part of the process, to let people know that just because we don't agree doesn't mean we can't work together. We can't like you. In that same meeting where they complained about me, they also complimented the PUD on our efforts, which are obviously largely led by me. So it was a good experience at recognizing you never know what kind of resistance you're going to get. And sometimes, even though you're doing something that's in the interest of the public, you will face backlash. But it's important that to never quit maintaining and developing the relationship.
Thank you. Question number 4. The county council acts as Whatcom County's Board of Health. What do you see as the biggest health-related challenge facing our community, and how do you plan to address it?
There's 2 things. Is it okay to say 2 things, or do you need me to just pick one? You'll give me.
Sure, yes.
Give me a pass on this one.
Make the answer your own.
You can deduct points, I suppose. So I have a mentor in the, as it relates to healthcare policy, and that's Frank James. Many of you know him. I think some of you suggested Atul, you need to talk to Frank James. Anyway, there's 2 things. First is there's a lack of competition. Peace Health was better than it is today, and potentially tomorrow it'll be worse than it is today. And why is that? Is because there's an absence of competition. I know nurses, I know doctors who tell me they'd rather work in Skagit County. I know patients who repeatedly tell me they'd rather go to Skagit County. Why? Because there's more than one option. And it's the public sector's responsibility to create an environment where private sector or nonprofit entities can work effectively. And so certainly there's the need for creating competitive pressure. A hospital district can be created. The hospital district doesn't have to eat the entire lunch of Peace Health. As we learned in this field of broadband, even eating a little bit of somebody's lunch changes their behavior. So I think there's lots of cost-effective incremental steps that we can take to increase the competitiveness of our healthcare market. But there's a second thing, and that's the health board. Our health board is too heavy on the political side and not heavy enough on the technical experts. And I think that one of the things that I very much agree with Frank James on is the need to appoint more professionals in all capacities, everybody from nurse practitioners to doctors on the health board, and so that they have a greater influence on our health policy. We certainly experienced how health policy could be excessively politicized recently. And we don't have to relive that now.
Thank you. Our last question is, what other issues do you plan to prioritize if elected to the council?
Well, you know, as an engineer working in clean energy my whole life, I would love to just work on clean energy. But I know that's not what we're at the precipice of. Our community is at the precipice of some real issues with the Justice Project and housing issues. So first, I want to mention that on that front, we've already talked about some of the housing related proposals, but we have to improve the baseline support for housing that we have in our community. I know there was a lot of complexity, lots of hurt feelings, lots of politics around the tiny home encampments, but I think we need to get back on that to create more facilities like that that provide a dignified place for people to live. I think also we have to take significant steps to create another vision. So as you all might know, I was on the Stakeholder Advisory Committee for the jail. And the vision for the jail now is up to 400 cells, which could be up to 1,600 beds. It's worse than kind of my worst nightmare in terms of the number of bed count. And the entire effort of the SAC was to identify alternatives. What the listening tour was for is to identify alternatives. And yet the implementation plan lists all these potential projects that are alternatives, but there's no implementation plan for the implementation plan. So I like the name implementation plan, but it should be an implementation plan, not a wish list. So I think despite my desire to work on clean energy, I think these are two issues that really need attention: creating more tiny home encampments, and then secondly, presenting a vision for, yes, we need an excellent maximum security facility, but that should be small. And we need low security, medium security facilities to provide these satellite functions. Everything from reentry to retraining to other therapeutic services. And it's an interesting fact that I happen to be a mentor of a guy who's a facilities engineer, and he told me that per square foot, a maximum security jail is more expensive to build than a hospital. And I was shocked. And again, I thought about it, it makes sense, all the security controls. So we should be trying to reduce the number of maximum security beds and creating a lot more beds that are that are supportive. So having said that, if I've got another minute, I'll talk about some renewable energy stuff. Yeah, do I have a minute? Okay, so
yeah, I think we have about 5 minutes left, and we've
yeah, but then are we going to do any Q&A or no? Okay.
Sure. You can. It's your time for the next 5 minutes.
I'll just drop one thing, and that is that I think there's a business case to be made for a county-wide municipal digester. We have wastewater treatment plants, and I have a background in this. I renewable natural gas, that kind of thing. So I have experience with this. And for example, Sacramento has done something like this. To create a countywide digestion facility, which takes the biosolids from all our wastewater treatment plants, as well as yard clippings and other biomass, and turns it into renewable natural gas, away from the Nooksack River and away from the ocean. And the reason is, of course, we need to do a very good job of protecting our nearshore environment, because that is the key to resilience of our ecosystem. And all of the adverse impact of climate change can be mitigated through a healthy, adaptive, vibrant nearshore environment. So that's why kind of the city of Bellingham's project is so concerning to proceed with the digester there. Instead, if we move the digestion to a central facility in the county, we can gain benefits of scale and do the process treatment to control the effluents at a much greater scale, at an order of magnitude greater scale. So this is an idea. Anybody can say an idea, but I'm not a layperson as it relates to this idea. And it's something that I plan to explore as a county councilor.
Hey, thank you. And then do you have any questions for us?
One of the things, it's more of a request. And I think I said this when that you relied on me to help with the questionnaire for PUD commissioners when in subsequent elections after I was elected, and I was grateful to be able to contribute. And one of the things that I think is important is to support candidates after the election. And the reason I think that's so important is because the process of facing staff, executive session. I don't know how many of you have experienced executive session and what attorneys say in executive session, but it can be a very disempowering experience because it basically limits a county council members, a city council members, a commissioner's ability to do what they believe is in service to the public. Because the lawyers come in and tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it takes emotional support and technical support to survive that kind of pressure. And I think it's important for organizations like the Riveters and the Democrats and so on and so forth to try to support people after they're elected.
Okay, noted. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Did you want to say anything about that, Suzanne or Beth? No. Okay. All right, thank you and good luck. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Atul.
Thank you, Atul.
Bye-bye.